Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Gwendolyn Halle, a seasoned businesswoman, and I'm here to teach you how to calculate your taxes to pay to the government. But before I jump right in, if you're new on this channel, don't forget to like, share and comment. And you're welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, this is me saying thank you. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to calculate your taxes to pay to the Cameroon government. This is very important. And this is particularly for businesses that are under the regime simplifié regime and the regime rail regime. That is for those who have public limited companies, private limited companies, and those who have établissements, what the Cameroon government identifies as établissements. These are those who are paying the trading tax, what we call patente in French. Before I dive in, I would like to say this. Paying your taxes is the responsibility of every individual living in a country, whether you're a citizen of that country or not. Paying your taxes shows that you're a responsible person. And this taxpayers' money is what the government uses to handle certain affairs of the state. Now, what most people don't know is you will never get investment from anyone if you don't pay your taxes. You will never get anyone who will take you seriously if you don't pay your taxes. Nobody will recognize you as a serious businessman or woman if you don't pay your taxes, because they'll look at you as a fraud, as an unreliable person. Imagine if you're staying in your father or mother's house or a relative's house. Even though you are not paying for water bill or light bill, but there are certain chores you do in the house while you stay in the house. That can also be considered as your taxes. So don't say that you can't pay your taxes. I pay my taxes, and I believe that when you pay your taxes, people take you seriously. People don't joke with you. People take you as a responsible adult, a responsible businessman or businesswoman, and people want to invest with people who know what it's like to pay their taxes. And even those who are going to say and pay us, but that is for another day. So we'll be looking today at how to calculate your taxes. And I'd like you to work with me because a lot of people are ignorant of this. In fact, grab a pen and paper. A lot of people are ignorant of this and they are being exploited. They are being duped. In fact, ignorance is very dangerous, guys. So like I mentioned earlier, we are going to be looking at how to calculate your taxes if you have a public limited company, a private limited company, and an établissement, what the government calls a small and medium-sized enterprise. Now, these companies fall under these tax systems. You either have them under the regime rail or the regime simplifié. For regime simplifié, it is from 10 million to 49 million. For regime rail, it is 50 million and above. And for the tax, as I said on IN, is 5.5, and for the regime rail, the assay on IN is 2.2%. Now, the VAT, those under regime simplifié don't pay VAT, but those under regime rail actually pay VAT, and that is 19.25%. Now, the regime you will go under will depend on the kind of company you have. Let me say what I've noticed. I know that most établissements, most small and medium-sized enterprises and private limited companies go for the regime simplifié. But there are some private limited companies who actually go under the regime rail. But most public limited companies, in fact, 99.9% of the public limited companies are under the regime rail in Cameroon. So now let's go into calculating our taxes. Now, if you're under the regime simplifié, in your first year, you don't pay patente. Now, what is patente? Patente is your trading tax. And this trading tax is given by the government. And it's standard, it's 50,000 francs. So this is standard. But if you're under the regime real, in your first year, you are going to pay the patent. And that's because it isn't acceptable that someone just starts a company and goes under regime real. The government will expect that you will start from regime simplifié with a shifted affair of 10 million to 49 million. And as time goes by, you can update now your tax documents to regime real with a shifted affair of 50 million and above. So this is something that you should look at. And the pattern for that is 141,500 francs. So this is standard. This is standard, guys. This is standard. Now, under the regime simplifié, under the tax system of regime simplifié, you have to pay BAI. And what is BAI? BAI is that contract between the landlord and the tenant. And it's 10% of the rent you are paying to your landlord, because the government expects that the minimum amount of rent you are going to pay to your landlord is 50,000. So this is actually an example. So 50,000 times 12 months in a year times 10%. Now, let me say this. Your tax document or your patent is renewable after 1 year. So, after your 1 year, when you're under the regime simplifié or when you just started your company, you don't pay patent. What you're going to pay is you're going to pay BAI and the précompte sur loyer. Now, when you calculate the BAI, that is the contract, the relationship between the tenant and the landlord, you and your landlord for the place you're renting for business, then you are actually going to get 60,000 francs. So what is précompte sur loyer? Précompte sur loyer is withdrawing the rent. That means that this is supposed to be paid by your landlord to the government. And this is why it's very important that you get a contrat de bail, like a contrat de bail from your landlord or landlady, and take it to the tax office. And most times, many landlords don't want to pay this. And if you are ignorant of this, you are the one who is going to be paying for it. Because normally, your précompte sur loyer, that's 50% of the rent, is supposed to be paid by your landlord. But because we have a lot of dishonest people in our society, they will actually give you a contrat de bail without indicating that they are the ones who is going to pay this précompte sur loyer. So now that you are informed, when you are about to sign that contrat de bail, actually tell your landlord that they should indicate that they are going to pay the précompte sur loyer on the contract. Most times they are going to refuse and they'll tell you to go, that another person will come and rent the place. But you can also negotiate with them that they will pay 50% and you will pay 50%. But because of the way that Cameroon is, most times they don't include it, and it's the tenant that pays this précompte sur loyer, this 50%, and that is 90%, 90,000 francs. Remember that we are using an example of 50,000 francs per month for rent, and we are multiplying it by 12 times 15%, and that will give us 90,000 francs. So if this is your first year of doing business under the regime simplifié, the government gives an exoneration. In fact, it doesn't allow people who have started businesses under regime simplifié to start paying patent, because the government believes that you will need time to actually save some money to be able to pay your trading tax. So in that first year, you will only be paying your BAI and your précompte sur loyer. That means if your landlord has said that he is not going to pay it, then that means that you'll be adding 60,000 plus 90,000. But if your landlord says that they are going to pay this pre-compte sur loyer, which they should, you will only be paying 60,000 francs on the first year. But on the second year, you are going to be paying this. That will depend on the contract you have with your landlord, what is on the contract you buy. If the landlord has said he is not going to pay this, then you will be paying 200,000. But if he says that he's going to pay this, you will only be paying the patent and the buyer in the second year. And if you guys decide that you guys will split the pre-compte sur loyer, you will divide the 90,000 francs, as you can see here, divided by 2. And you will get that amount, you add it to 60,000 and to 50,000 francs, and that is what you are going to pay. So guys, I hope that you're really getting the knowledge, because we need this. We need this. I've been doing a lot of research on these, and since I pay my taxes, I'm able to know this knowledge. I don't just go and whatever anybody tells me, I just take it. I love to read. I love to read the updated financial laws. So if you're under regime real, the patent, that is your trading tax. Patent means trading tax, and this is standard. Remember that when you're under regime real, you don't have an exoneration in your first year. You are not exonerated on paying your patent in your first year. So your buyer will still be 10%. And I'm giving an example. The rent where you are going to be renting could be 50,000 francs. So 50,000 francs a month times 12 times 10% is 60,000 francs. So that's how I got to this number. And the pre-compte sur loyer, I still gave an example that if your rent is 50,000 francs times 12 times 15%, that's going to give you 90,000 francs. I will still say this: your contrat de bail, that means the relationship between you and your landlord, will determine if you're going to pay your pre-compte sur loyer. Remember, as I said, your pre-compte sur loyer is supposed to be paid by the landlord. But what happens is, most times people are dishonest. They will refuse to rent out the place to you because they want somebody who will be taking care of this payment for them. So you have to insist that the landlord includes this pre-compte sur loyer, 50%, that he will be the one paying for it in your contrat de bail, and you take that document to the tax office. Now it will be the government to contact him and tell him to come and pay the pre-compte sur loyer. But as like I said, most landlords wouldn't allow it. But if you can negotiate with your landlord and say you pay this percentage and I pay this percentage, it can go. Or if not, you'll be the one paying this every year. Every year, I'm telling you. So that's what actually happened. So if you add 141,000 francs, 500, if you add 141,500 francs plus 60,000 plus 90,000 francs, you come up with 291,500 francs. So this is what you'll be paying in a year if your rent is 50,000 francs. Remember, this is what you are changing. The 50,000 francs. This is what you should be changing. Now there are some updates. You can only do monthly declarations online on their website. That means you have to log in, you need to put in all the information, your register de commerce, your registration number, the registration number of your company, etc., etc. You need to actually create an account in the system, and you'll be able to declare your taxes. Make sure before the 12th of every month, you should have declared your taxes online. Now, when it comes to renewing your patent, whether you're under regime semi-fail or regime real, make sure you do it before the end of February of every year. The deadline is the last day of February of every year for you to renew your patent, your trading tax. So these are new rules that the government has put in place. And also your attestation de non-redevance. That is your attestation of no debt. This is attestation to show that you are not owing any taxes. This attestation to show that you have been paying your taxes to the government can only be collected from the tax office in that arrondissement, in that area, in the area where most likely you registered your tax document, your taxes. If you fail or you forget to declare monthly, and let me say the deadline, the 12th of every month, the 15th of every month goes by, and you realize on the 21st that, oh, I forgot to pay my taxes, or my accountant was sick, my financial officer was sick, tell them to declare online with the amount you're supposed to declare. And if they ask you on the system to pay a penalty, pay the penalty. The penalty will not be a lot, but don't try and declare NYAT. If you click on NYAT, you would see a penalty of 1 million coming to you. So thank you for joining me into this class. I hope I have been able to give you the knowledge you need to be able to stay abreast with your taxes, to be updated, to know how much you're supposed to pay. Instead of running away from paying your taxes, this information will help you to be more confident, to be more responsible as a businessman or a businesswoman. Till next time, I remain your seasoned and certified business mogul, Gwendolyn Halle. Bye-bye.